will be introducing you all to our resident penguins that we have living here in the Discovery Centre on Penguin Island and telling you a little bit about these fantastic little birds and what they get up to. Just before we get started, a couple of things. I'm sure you've all already been asked. If you are taking photos, please make sure your flash is switched off on your camera. This can damage our penguins' very, very sensitive eyes as well as frighten them. It's also very important that we stay very, very quiet and absolutely still and keep all of our body parts or any objects on the outside of the fence and the railing, and this is so we don't frighten our little penguins. They're quite used to people coming in and having a look, but they're still very shy and very flighty animals. Any loud noises, sudden or unusual movements, waving body parts, things like that can frighten them. If they get frightened, they might not eat, and we won't get much action from the middle this afternoon. So if we could stay as quiet and still as possible, that would help us out a lot. Alright, looks like we actually have all of our penguins out and about this afternoon, so I don't have to kick anyone out of bed for their dinner. This is their third meal of the day, which I suppose is equivalent to their dinner. They've already filled up 2 times today already. They had their breakfast this morning at 10:30, and then they all filled up nicely for lunch at 12:30. So hopefully we still have some hungry tummies this afternoon. We will get at least one penguin zooming around after his dinner this afternoon in the pool, and Sedge, our famous pool penguin, is normally quite happy to do that. Sedge likes to take all of his meals swimming in the pool. He does prefer it, however, if he has a little bit of competition. So Jojo, Perry and Nemo will all decide for themselves what's quicker, whether it's quicker to get their meal from the bucket or from the pool. So we'll see which way those 3 go. Although Nemo and Jojo are already having a nice afternoon swim, so they might stay in for us. We do have 10 little penguins living here, and as you've probably already guessed, they each have their own name and of course their own very unique personality. With a little bit of time and a little bit of practice, you can actually tell them apart from one another. I know they all look very similar, but if you look closely, maybe at their faces, they all have slightly different beak structure, facial colouring, eye colour, different posture, and of course personality is always a good giveaway. Apart from 3 of our very special penguins who were born here, Nemo, Sassy and Jojo, the rest of our penguins have either come to us as orphan chicks who were left by their mum and dad when they were much too young to be going out on their own, or as injured adult birds. Normally, if we get injured or orphaned penguins, we'll send them off to special registered carers. Those carers will nurse them back to health, and most of the time we can actually release those birds back out into the wild and they can continue to live their lives. It's not very often that we get birds like ours. Ours have all been deemed unsuitable for release. So that basically means if we were to let them go, it's very unlikely that they'd be able to survive out on their own. They might not know how to recognise some of their predators, but more importantly, they won't be able to fish efficiently for themselves. So they live a very long and happy life here. They get all their meals prepared for them 3 times a day, and they get all of their housekeeping done for them as well. They don't need to lift a flipper. In fact, we run around for most of our day cleaning up after these 10 very cute but very messy little penguins. I think we'll take our bucket over to our very lazy looking penguins over there. This is probably the most penguins you will actually see on the island, and those of you who already had a little wander around the island might have been lucky enough to spot 1 or 2. They are true marine birds, and their scientific name, Eudiptera minor, means little diver. They only have to come to land for 2 reasons, and those reasons are breeding and molting. When they are on land, they live a very cryptic lifestyle, so unfortunately you're not going to see large colonies of little penguins standing out on the beaches or the rocks soaking up the sun like you see lots of other penguin species doing in other parts of the world. When these guys are on land, they like to stay tucked right away under bushes and in their nests out of the sun. This is Lou, Kelly. Otherwise, they spend their entire day out at sea fishing. They leave just before the sun comes up, and they don't come home until around 2 hours after sunset. So 2 hours after sunset, little blue and white penguin heads will begin to pop up from out of the water. They call to each other using a bark-like call. They're basically making sure all their friends have turned up. Once everyone in their group has arrived, they will come onto land as a nice big group, and this is known as a penguin raft. It's a safety and numbers thing for our penguins. It's much safer for them to come onto land as a nice big group. And hang on, one by one. Oh no, here comes Jojo. Quick move. Normally we don't let our penguins push in. So as you can see, Jojo's quite large. Hang on, we'll give Lou just a couple more. That was naughty, Jojo. They can have as many fish as they want. Never had a penguin with a weight problem. They simply walk away once they've had enough, although the penguin, he does hold the record for eating the most amount of fish in one day is Piggy, and that's Piggy standing over there on a rock overlooking everyone. Piggy's our oldest and wisest penguin. He's now 16 years old, and he's been here ever since the centre opened over 14 years ago. So he, of course, runs the place. He tells all the other penguins what to do, and he tells us what to do. He's our grumpiest penguin, and he's the father of all 3 of our penguins who were born here as well. So he's a pretty special penguin. Piggy once ate 1 kilogram of fish in one day. That's around 250 of these little fish that I'm feeding our penguins here this afternoon. And to put that in a little bit more perspective for you, Piggy only weighs on average around 1.2 kilos, so he almost ate his entire body weight in fish on this particular day. A couple of his kids have come very close to breaking that record, but no one's done it yet, and I don't think they ever will. Alright, so it's just Jojo in the pool at the moment. Sage actually jumped out, so hopefully he'll jump back in a little while. The correct name for these birds, or the preferred name, is the little penguin. You've probably heard them being called by their other names, including the fairy penguin and also the little blue penguin, because of their beautiful dark blue feathers that they have. I think the little penguin is the most appropriate name because out of the 17 different species of penguin that exist in the world, the little penguin is the world's smallest. All of our birds are fully grown and they're absolutely tiny compared to the world's largest penguin, which is of course the emperor penguin. This is Nemo. And the emperor penguin can stand up to 1.3 metres tall and weigh up to 40 kilograms. That's huge. Standing next to one of these little guys, little penguins only stand on average around 30 to 40 centimetres and weigh an average of 1 kilogram, so not very big at all. Nemo is one of our Piggy's children, so got a pretty good appetite like his dad. Little penguins are also Australia's only penguin. You won't find any other species really living and breeding here, and they're found all along the southern coastline of Australia and around Tasmania and also around New Zealand. Here in WA, you won't find them any further north than about Fremantle, and this particular colony is the largest colony of little penguins that we have in Western Australia, so we're very lucky, and we have between 1,500 and 2,000 little penguins living and breeding here. Next up is Sassy. Sassy has a bit of a funny way of eating. Sassy's eating like she's still a baby, just the way that's most comfortable for her, and it's the way she remembers being fed by her mum and dad as a chick in the nest. So that interlocking beak action that a parent bird uses to regurgitate food back into their chick's mouth is what I'm imitating here with my finger. Luckily I don't actually have to chew the fish up and I'll spit it back into Sassy's mouth. I like her, but I don't like you that much, sorry Sassy. But Nemo's sister, she hatched out 2 days after Nemo, so Sassy and Nemo are our youngest penguins at 5 years old. They are fantastic swimmers. Penguins in general are the most specialised seabird of them all. Probably the most obvious difference between penguins and most other birds is they have flippers instead of wings. They've completely lost the ability to fly, although you could argue that they fly through the water much in the same way as a bird would fly in the sky above. They have 4 times as many feathers as most birds have, and this is really important for keeping them nice and warm and insulated while they're out swimming. Their feathers are very, very small and very densely packed, so that helps to keep the water right away from their skin. They also waterproof their feathers, and they do that with the help of a very special oil gland that's located right at the base of their tail. So when our penguins jump out, you will, if you watch for long enough, you will catch them grooming away at this very special gland right at the base of their tail, and they will spend a lot of time preening themselves and making sure that oil coats every single feather. They can swim at about 8 kilometres an hour, hold their breath for 5